In this high-tech, super connected world we're all living in, it feels like we're sometimes more disconnected than ever. But what if the real key to our well-being isn't in another app, but in something a lot more primal? Today, we're going to look at a pretty unique approach to wellness that gets right back to our basic need for a genuine connection.
Okay, so let's dive in by talking about a problem that I think a lot of us can relate to. That feeling of being kind of separated, stressed out, or just plain overwhelmed by everything modern life throws at us.
Does that ring a bell? I mean, think about it. The pressure from work, right? Or the isolation that can sometimes creep in as we get older. Or even just the challenge of finding activities that can truly, genuinely engage our families. There's this growing search for something real, something that kind of grounds us.
Take the corporate world, for example. We're always on the hunt for new ways to boost morale and dial down the stress, especially during really important times like Mental Health Awareness Week. And let's be honest, those typical team-building exercises, they don't always hit the mark.
And then you think about our seniors, especially those in care homes. Loneliness can be such a massive challenge, and finding activities that bring real, actual joy and engagement it's absolutely crucial for their quality of life.
And what about our kids? In this age of screens everywhere, how do we introduce them to the natural world in a way that isn't just a lecture, but is truly captivating? We're all looking for that little spark of wonder, right?
So, with all these different challenges, what's the solution? What if it was less digital and, more alive? What if it came with scales, or fur, or maybe even 8 legs?
And that brings us to this core idea: animal-assisted therapy, or AAT for short. Now, this isn't just about petting a cute animal. Not at all. It's a structured, guided interaction with highly trained animals, led by experts, and it's all designed to deliver real therapeutic benefits. And get this, we're not just talking about fluffy bunnies, though of course they can be part of it. The range of animals is just incredible. We're talking everything from a snake and a tarantula to a gentle guinea pig or even a giant snail. This diversity is what makes the experience so memorable.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth does interacting with a python or a crested gecko actually translate into real-world benefits? It might sound a little out there, I get it, but there is some real science behind this connection.
Okay, check this out. This one number is pretty incredible. According to the source material, people who participated in these sessions reported a 60%, that's 60, decrease in their anxiety levels. That is a huge immediate impact.
So how does that even happen? Well, a lot of the benefits kick off in our minds. These interactions give a significant boost to your overall sense of well-being and can offer real relief from depression. They can even physically lower stress markers like your blood pressure, partly because they help release oxytocin, that bonding hormone. And they're also fantastic for breaking down social barriers and just getting people talking.
And it's not just mental either. Getting involved with animals encourages you to move, which can increase physical activity. It also provides this really unique kind of companionship that directly fights back against feelings of loneliness and isolation, which is just so important for people in care facilities. And on top of all that, the cognitive gains are a big deal. These kinds of interactions can actually sharpen focus and attention spans. They can trigger pleasant memories, especially for folks with dementia, and they help people of all ages learn how to regulate their emotions a little better.
But this whole hands-on approach isn't just about the animals. The same idea of tangible, creative engagement, it extends to other activities that really spark that sense of curiosity.
So alongside the animal therapy, you've got these creative science workshops. I mean, just think about the sensory experience of making your own soap, or bath bombs, or even slime. These activities are all about sparking curiosity and delight, and they promote wellness in a totally different but very complementary way. So the numbers are impressive for sure, but what really brings this all to life are the stories from people who've actually experienced it firsthand. So let's take a look at a few stories from the real world.
First up, let's head to the workplace. A company decided to book one of these sessions for their Mental Health Awareness Week. They were looking for something that would genuinely cut through the stress and bring their team together.
And the result? Well, Ajay Sales said it was amazing how quickly even the most hesitant people on the team felt comfortable enough to hold a snake. I mean, that just says so much about breaking down personal barriers and really boosting team spirit. Okay, so from the office, let's head to the classroom. Imagine you're trying to explain a science concept, like vertebrate classifications, to a group of 3-year-olds. How do you make that stick?
Well, according to Mrs. O'Shea, this is the perfect way. You take a tricky, abstract idea and you make it real.
You make it something a kid can actually touch and see. The calm animals create this fantastic, memorable learning environment that really shows how much care goes into it, for both the animals and the kids.
And for our last story, let's look at how personal and adaptable this can be, especially for family events and, so importantly, for people with specific health needs. This is definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
And this quote from Jake Horn, it's just incredibly powerful. It shows the deep level of care and real inclusivity. The host didn't just go through a script, they tailored the entire experience to assist her specific needs, making sure it was a special, gentle, and really cherished memory for the whole family.
So when you put it all together, what does it all mean? It shows that whether you're in an office, a classroom, or your own living room, these kinds of inclusive, hands-on experiences have this profound power to connect us to nature, to each other, and ultimately back to ourselves.
So it really makes you think, doesn't it? In our constant search for wellness and connection, could it be that the most effective therapy doesn't come from a screen or a pill, but from something just a little more wild?